10,000 pounds over here.
Like you're wearing a polar bear. Okay, sweet. I'm going to just do a little intro and then we'll start. Okay. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us in the Floating City podcast once again. I got my friend here, Ciara. Is Ciara?
Ciara. I answer to them all.
Okay, sweet. This is a podcast where I interview people that very much inspire me, that are entrepreneurs and or artists that have built a solid business for themselves. And so I'd like to talk a little bit about your wellness center and the stuff you do.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, so I am in the health and wellness field. Mm-hmm. I'm actually third generation, so both my mom and my grandmother were in the health and wellness field before me.
Okay.
And I co-founded Living Water Wellness, which is my wellness center in San Diego, with my mom about, 17 years ago, roughly.
Dang.
Yeah.
How old
so
are you?
A long time. I'm only 35, so I started when I was really young.
How old were you? 18?
16.
Damn. Okay. Nice.
So I never thought I would really do the health part of it. I thought I was more interested in like the management, entrepreneurial part of it, like scaling this business, right? So my mom had a center and was training people for cleansing and detoxification. And so I saw what she was doing. I'm like, oh my gosh, like you should expand. You know what I mean? Like you're sitting on something really awesome here. So that's what I did. I helped her do that. So I spent about 2 years kind of figuring out the ropes and the management perspective of it. And then we started opening other centers. Mm-hmm. I actually kind of got my original start though with my grandmother. So my grandmother had her own center when I was in my childhood. So around 10, she would take me to her business. Mm-hmm. And she's like super hardcore alpha female. So she wrote me a whole script on how I could answer her phones and sell her products and her whole business. So that was what I would do. From like 10 to 12, I would hang out with my grandmother at her office and basically sell packages, talk about the treatments that she offered, and sell her packages and programs and supplements.
Dang.
So that's where I kind of got I think the entrepreneurial start was like, I'm like, oh, this is how you do it.
Yep.
When I started working with my mom, I needed to get trained as a colon hydrotherapist because that was one of the number one services they did in that office. And at 16, I was like, okay, I'm managing, but I could be making more money if I specialized in this thing. So I started training for that, got certification for that, got certified in lymphatic drainage, and then just started basically interning with my mom and my grandmother.
And how old were you then?
Oh gosh, this was between the age of 16 and 19.
Damn, so cool. Sorry, continue.
Yeah. No, I mean it was being cool to be able to step into those shoes, and both of them like had big shoes to fill too, because my grandmother was like an educator and an author. I mean, she was the author on the first book ever written on internal cleansing, and then my mom had her business and was a teacher. Oh. And she had like the number one school internationally for teaching people these certifications. So I actually certified through her and her school. So not only did I get to train with them, but then I just basically interned with their businesses for most of my young adult area age, I guess you would say. So then at about 19, I was like, you know what, Mom, we should expand this. So we opened up another office together. Again, with me just managing and helping her. And then by then, I was probably in my early 20s. I said, you know what? We can open another office, but I need to be a partner. I don't want to be working for you anymore if I'm going to keep doing this. So we opened another office in San Diego, which is still an office I have now. And I now have sole ownership of that. So, yeah.
Dang. Okay. Well, just to backtrack a little bit, we met at Regulars Wanted. This is kind of a pattern of like my guests. Yeah, I met a bunch of them at Regulars Wanted, and you came in and like you at first you stuck out. You're very well spoken. You like were very like hi individually, like said hi to everyone, and that stuck out specifically. And then I found you on Facebook afterwards, and I'm like, oh, you were talking about superfood lattes or smoothies or something. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that she was into that. And then you looked for someone for raw vegan food prep. And I was like, oh, okay, what? And then I started asking you about that. And then, yeah, that's kind of how we started talking, started connecting.
Came together,
yes.
mutual love of all things health and wellness.
Yes, totally. And and I had a couple of years with living in Oregon City and in like a raw vegan community, and we were like living off the land, and a lot of that's not all off the land, but it was a lot of that. So I was like, okay, dang, she wants to get into raw foods, like shit. And it sounded like you already knew what you were doing. You just wanted people to do that extra stuff for you.
I just wanted people to do it for me.
Yes, totally. Because I mean, it seemed like you were busy, and then I added you on Instagram. And what's your Instagram handle?
I am Ciara Mumford.
I am Ciara Mumford. Add her. She's very entertaining and very. There's a lot of knowledge to pick up there.
I have a lot of fun on social media. Like
yes.
I do not like to take myself too seriously. I'm kind of over like the phony, fake, false light template BS that kind of goes on the social media platforms. Like I definitely have a lot of background and a lot of ancestral knowledge, but I also like to have a lot of fun. So.
Yes. So that's always cool to be on there. And then now you're on Clubhouse, which we'll talk a little bit more about later. So your wellness center is in San Diego right now. What do you guys offer there?
Yes, so my wellness center, I mean, it's evolved over the years. We still have some of our staple offerings. So when it comes to treatment, we have colon hydrotherapy, which is amazing for internal cleansing. I mean, I don't know if we talked about that, but
we have not.
It's amazing for internal cleansing. Lymphatic drainage, which is really, really, really vital for the immune system, immunohealth, immunocompromised, autoimmune conditions. Infrared technology, so we do a lot of infrared for skin health and weight loss. We have a bunch of different coaches there that are all trained and certified in cleansing and detoxification. So we really help find our clients solutions to whatever's going on with them. So like I personally now am a disease and illness specialist. So I specialize in prevention. So when I'm meeting people, I create and cultivate lifestyle, diet, and protocols that will help them in their own personal recovery. And so that's kind of how it has evolved. So I do a lot of consulting, medical mediumship, and a lot of treatments, and then we facilitate that for them.
Very cool. And so what diseases have people come to you with?
So we see everything from people who are currently in recovery from cancer to the common cold. I really prefer to see people on the side of prevention. So I like to see people who are making this part of their lifestyle. Like they realize how vital digestive health is. They realize how important their immune system is. So they're doing treatments really to just prevent further issues. But we do see and have seen, since I had worked with my grandma up until now having this facility, people who are in recovery. And I've seen multiple people be able to recover from autoimmune conditions, breast cancer, prostate cancer, colon cancer. And obviously that's all their own doing between, choices that they're making holistically to make changes in their lives to treatments that they're doing and creating like full lifestyles around healing and prevention.
And is it like in conjunction with medical stuff, or do they're like, this is not working for me, or this is not going to work, I'm going to go with just holistic?
Both. We have doctors that send their clients to us for different treatments, and they prescribe the treatments that we do. And then we have some other clients, so they're doing it in conjunction with Western medicine. I love that. I think that that's really great because a lot of the treatments that we offer can be things that can help to boost the immune system. So while you're going through other treatment, it can be amazing done hand in hand. We have other people who obviously want to approach everything from just a completely 100% natural perspective. And in that case, we can offer support with that as well. It's really up to the client. We see both though.
Very cool. Sounds like a lot of hope in a world, especially in the medical world. I've known people, I've heard of people that knew people that it's just like it can be a really dark path if you just rely on a really bad doctor. That's just, it's just like, it's one doctor's visit and then the next one is even worse and then the next one's worse. And it's a lot of false hope. You know, a lot of the people say that holistic medicine is a lot of false hope, but I've realized over the years that a lot of Western medicine is false hope as well. So I really like the real hope, like empowering stuff, like you get a diet protocol or something like that. That's very empowering for the person as well, rather than, you know, leaving it up to a doctor to just fix everything for you. Yeah,
I mean, on that note, I think that, you know, one of the, and I don't even necessarily blame Western medicine or doctors. Really, I think I blame like our desire to have autonomy and like sovereignty. I think that most people would love like a one-stop shop, a quick answer, a Band-Aid. Most people don't want to take accountability. I mean, if we're going to drop the bombs, like most people don't want to be accountable for their health, for their wellness. And that's serving no one. I mean, you can't put your life in the hands of a physician and then, you know, go home and eat nothing but processed foods and GMOs and expect that everything's going to be okay. And so I'm more about, you know, having, I think, more like sovereignty and autonomy in the sense that like you should be educating yourself. We've got Google at this day and age. Like, you don't need to be relying on the voices of every specialist, doctor, guru. I mean, you can go do research. You can be accountable and responsible for your well-being. And that's when you're going to live your most optimal life, because no one's going to know you better than you know you. But how do you know yourself if everything you do is rooted in everybody around you? And I mean, this could get real woo-woo, because now outside of owning my center, this is what I do as a guide and as a mentor. I help people spiritually, energetically, emotionally, mentally, and physically.
Yes.
So after being in that field for 17 years, I know that there's so much more that goes into your health than just being physically healthy. There's so much more that goes into your health than having a proper diet and your physical fitness and what you put into your mouth. It's also your mindset and your emotional state and your limiting belief systems and the energetic blockages in your body and all of your lineal trauma. I mean, we could go on and on and on.
I agree. I mean, I was, like I said, I was practicing being a raw vegan for a while, and it turned into a really unhealthy relationship with food at one point, and it was very toxic. Like, even though I was like as slim as I ever was and everything, it was very stressful relationship with food. If you don't have it all lined up, it doesn't really matter. Well, it does matter, but then at the same time, it does not matter what exactly you're eating, because your mind is just sabotaging everything.
Yeah, and food is just one of the many components and senses that we have to nurture, right? I mean, we've got food, we've got breath, we've got touch, we've got smell. I mean, there's so many things that we have to take into consideration. Food is an easy one because we're so emotionally attached to food as a culture. I attribute that to like lifetimes of starvation, but I mean that could be kind of woo. But I mean we are emotionally attached to food. Like even right now, I'm juicing, and people will constantly say to me, "Oh my God, you're juicing? How do you juice fast? That's so crazy. I'd be starving." And it's like, let's break down some logic really quickly. When you eat nothing but Chick-fil-A for a whole 24 hours, you're literally receiving no nutrient value. Everything in that is dead. There's no nutrients. And you're getting calories, but you're not getting any vital nutrients that your body needs. That's starving. We're a culture of people who are starving but obese because we're eating foods that are terrible for our body. So we're holding on to that fat on a physical and cellular level, but we're also starving to death inside, and that's what's causing disease, because if you don't have nutrients to counteract disease, then you're basically, you know, in this kind of starvation mode where you can let disease run rampant in your body. So for instance, when I do a juice that has more vegetables in it than I could cook in a day, and they're completely live and they're completely raw, and I'm drinking that, I might be kind of in a caloric deficit, or I'm not getting my normal fiber amount that I would get. But when it comes to actual nutrients, dense nutrients, I couldn't do this in a normal day usually.
Yes.
So I'm definitely not starving. I'm totally nourished. My stomach might be telling me that I want to eat.
Yeah.
And that's the stomach's job, so that you don't starve yourself. But, you know, you have to know how each organ works and like give it its own identity and like realize that thank you, stomach, for telling me that you're hungry right now. We're fasting. Everybody else is nourished. My cells are nourished. My organs are nourished. I'm feeling great and wonderful. And I'll get back to you in a couple days when I'm eating again. Use the opportunity for a break.
Yes. And you're hydrating yourself.
Absolutely.
Most people are severely dehydrated. And, you know, what you said, you only eat Chick-fil-A in a day. It sounds like an exaggeration, but girl, I know a lot of people
I've
eat
done
that
it.
way.
Don't get me wrong. I have done it too.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I think we've all done it at one point in our lives.
Yeah.
And I'm also a big fan of moderation.
Yeah.
So like I use cleansing and fasting and different types of detoxes as an opportunity to continue living a lifestyle I love. You know?
Totally.
I'm no longer. I too told you I'd done raw food before I was raw foodist for about 6 months.
Oh.
And I loved it. I felt really great for a really long time, except for the first month. Anybody who's ever gone raw or gone like seriously live plant-based foods will know you immediately start having gastric issues, a lot of gas, a lot of bloating, and a lot of discomfort. And it's a good sign because you're in a process of detoxing. So it's like, it's a necessary evil. That's when I recommend a colonic. And it's so funny. I actually have a center that does colonics. And when I went raw the first 3 weeks, I didn't give myself a colonic. And it wasn't until the 3rd week that I was like, I don't know if I can keep doing this, to a friend. And they're like, well, have you had a colonic yet? And I'm like, oh, no. And they're like, what's wrong with you? Like, you have full access to this and you're not doing it. I'm like, I don't know. I think even it just slipped my mind too.
Yeah.
I went and got a colonic. After that, it was no problem. It was it was detoxing. The cells in my body were detoxing. The cell wall in your colon, the lining of your colon's detoxing. You're excreting chemicals. You're excreting gases. You're killing bacteria that are bad for you, like candida, even parasites. So your body starts to experience what we call cleansing crisis. And then a treatment like colonics could support you in cleansing crisis by literally flushing out anything that's causing the problem. So it was so funny that even I didn't think of that. As soon as I did that, the rest of the time was perfect. And I felt amazing.
Yeah, that was my first month and a half. Crazy gas. Like, I was like, what? I didn't even realize you could, and then waking up in the morning, like, after eating raw all day. Craziness. So for people that don't know what colon hydrotherapy is.
Oh, yeah.
What?
I'd be gladly tell you.
Yes.
It is like the oldest thing in the book, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that the ancient Egyptians were doing back, centuries ago. They were doing it in the hospitals up until the 40s when we introduced prescription drugs and medication. We won't go there. So doctors and nurses were doing it in the hospitals in the 40s. And they were doing it, again, for anything from like actual serious condition to a cold. Mm-hmm. Because 70% of your immune system lies in your colon. And unfortunately, we eat like junk in our society. And even when we try to eat good, our foods are depleted. And, we're not growing our own stuff, unfortunately. And so this is just, this is a chronic issue in the U.S. in general. So basically, what ends up happening is the average person who should be going to the bathroom 2 or 3 times a day has anywhere from about 5 to 15 pounds of just fecal buildup within the walls of the colon. And then what happens with that is we start to see the increase in disease, immunocompromising issues, and so on, even just skin disorders. I mean, you name it. Brain fog, that's a big one. Brain fog, concentration, clarity. So what a colon hydrotherapy treatment does is you have this trained therapist who gets certified through an international organization to actually facilitate the removal of this material. So what they do is they basically fill the 5 feet of colon with water. It's all totally purified. It's all FDA registered equipment. There's 4 filtration systems, water purification through UV lighting, everything. So there is an insertion obviously into the rectum because you have to get the water in there. But it's
tube up your butt.
Basically tube up your butt. Let's just get down to the brass tacks. But it's not super uncomfortable because it's smaller than a bowel movement. So most people come in and they're like super nervous about it and they're like, is it going to be painful? It's like, it's going to be awkward. I mean, it's just, you're not used to going to the bathroom in that direction. So that's really what feels weird.
Yeah.
But no, it's not painful. And most people who later say, oh my God, it was so painful, usually are pretty uptight to begin with because they can't just relax and let their body release. The painful, quote unquote, thing that they're saying is really just their inability to purge, like they're holding on to a lot of stuff. So that can be uncomfortable. Just like if you have constipation, you get uncomfortable. If you're refusing to let your body release in a session, that can be uncomfortable too. But I mean, I think it's just an exaggerated expression. It's really just more awkward than anything. But it's like having the best bowel movement of your life, because if you can get water through all 5 feet of the colon, you can release 5 to 15 pounds of fecal material from your gut. And that's not even the coolest part about it, in my opinion. The more important part for me as like a disease and illness specialist is I want to see all of the toxicity that's storing in the wall of the colon be released. All of the bacteria that are causing lesions in the wall of the colon that causes later autotoxicity. I want to see those released. And that's microscopic.
Yep.
So that's really what like gets me excited about it, because you know your liver is the filter for your body and it drains the bile into the colon. And if you're not going to the bathroom regularly, so if you're not going to the bathroom 2 or 3 times a day, which most people aren't, then where's all those toxins going? Where are they hanging out? They're hanging out right there in the wall of the colon. And unfortunately, what happens over time is that your colon is supposed to work like a sponge. It's going to hold those toxins for you to kind of protect you and keep you safe. But if you've been abusing that organ and its function starts to weaken, then that toxicity can end up going back out into the body instead of isolating and being removed like it's meant to. And then if it does that, that's when we start to see other illnesses and diseases form. So that's why they say the colon regulates 70% of your immune system, because it protects you from that happening. And unfortunately, that's happening with a lot of people, even you and I.
Yep.
And so that's why I dig this treatment still, even though I don't administer them anymore in my wellness center. Like I will always keep my wellness center, even as my spiritual business and my coaching business continues, because this is the root of everything.
Yeah.
And I know now, working with energy, that your root, literally your root chakra, what connects you to this planet, what keeps you alive, what keeps you safe, is regulated by your colon. So it will always be at the base, literally root of my business.
Wow. Okay. Awesome. And you can still get that done at your wellness center?
Oh, yes. Please. If you're in San Diego, come to my wellness center. We're #1 in Southern California. We worked hard for that title. So, yes, you come and see us. It's livingwaterwellness.com. Schedule with any of my girls there. They're amazing. Mention the podcast. We'll get you guys a discount.
Ooh, come on now.
Yes, I'm all about that.
So, and you would recommend it even for people that aren't detoxing or anything like that?
Absolutely. Yeah. I still do 1 a month. The times that I don't, I regret it.
Wow.
Because there's times that I've like traveled or I've been out of town or things have been busy and I skip my 1 a month and I can feel it. I can start to feel the brain fog. I can start to feel the fatigue. I can start to feel the bloating. I can start to feel the food cravings coming back. Yeah.
So it definitely helps with food cravings, with bloating, with weight loss problems.
Everything.
Dang.
I mean, it's obviously based on the client and what they're experiencing, but people call me all the time and they're like, so what can I expect to achieve with a colonic? And I'm like, I don't know, make a list of 10 symptoms and cross 7 of them off. If it's 70% of what's going on in your body is rooted in the health of your colon, then that's really the likelihood of the results you're going to get. So it could be completely unrelated. I've had people tell me, oh my gosh, my nails are growing, or my skin's cleared up, or I got pregnant.
Wow.
Yeah, you name it.
Yeah, I remember when I lived in Portland, I worked at this produce shop, and this girl recommended to the owner, she was really into detox and wellness as well, she recommended to the owner to get a colonic, and he was like, men are kind of weird about, a
little anal about it?
Yeah. Yeah, they can be a little weird, more than girls, I've noticed.
Well, and that's why I remind them that it's like, yeah, it's super awkward in the sense that it's a little more foreign for you, but in reality, it's always going to be smaller than your normal bowel movements. So things pass through there of that size, whether or not, it's warranted or you're
Yeah.
expecting it. So it's not going to ever be something where you can't do it or it's painful.
Okay. Yeah, he said that he had on his like upper thighs were numb for for a bit, like the first like couple layers of skin he said was numb, and then when he would suck in his stomach, he could feel this like pain, like a sharp pain somewhere, and his eyes would water up just from like sucking in. And then after his colonic, the numbness went away and that sharpness was gone. And it was like 7 years that he was feeling that way.
Isn't that insane?
That is so nuts.
That's literally how full of shit people are.
Literally.
Honestly.
That is, wow, yeah, that's really powerful stuff.
I mean, I know we weren't going to do a whole episode on colonics, but
No.
it's hard not to get fired up about it because it literally is amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, and the other treatment we do there, the lymphatic drainage, equally is amazing because there's an epidemic right now of autoimmune disease. Everybody and their neighbor is popping up with Lyme disease or Hashimoto's or lupus or fibromyalgia. I mean, it's happening like crazy rampant. And it's my belief, this is, my own personal experience, that autoimmune is just what happens after our actual lymphatic system has been compromised for so long. Whether that means excessive use of antibiotics and infections or periodontal issues that went unnoticed or not taken care of, or trauma. And then this all affects your hormones and your lymphatic system. And all disease starts with hormonal imbalances. So if your lymphatic system is off and your hormones are off, then you're going to it's going to manifest itself somehow. Maybe not tomorrow, it could be 30, 40, 50 years from now. But if you're aware of that early on, there's things you can do to prevent that, right? Like keep your lymphatic system strong, pay attention to periodontal conditions, or keep your gut clean. I mean, these are things that can be preventative long term.
And so a quick rundown of what the lymphatic system is, because I never heard of it. Some people might not know.
Yeah, your lymphatic system is your immune system. So when you hear people talk about your immune system, you're like, oh yeah, my immune system. Wait, where's that?
Yeah,
it's everywhere. It's in your entire body. And the reason why it's everywhere is because it is your lymphatic system, which is a circulatory system. So it's as extensive as your blood system. The only difference is it doesn't have a pump. So your blood is pumped through the heart and through the body, right? The lymphatic system doesn't have a luxury of having a pump. Instead, it has these little nodes. I call them like conduits, basically. So where the fluid can become easily congested if you're not doing things to keep it moving. So because it doesn't have a pump, movement is really important. A lot of nodes are in areas that have like joints. So you can, by moving your arms, moving your legs, moving your body, you're actually physically pumping those nodes and helping things to flow. It's also a liquid system, basically. So you need to be drinking enough water and hydrating. Really, really important. And like you said, no one's hydrating enough. No one. You should be drinking like a minimum of half your body weight in fluid ounces, and that's like the bare bones minimum. Most people, if you have other things going on, like you go do hot yoga, or you are like an aggressive sweater and you're out running and working out, or you're not feeling well. I mean, all of these things, it's like, okay, tack on 20 ounces, tack on 20 ounces, tack on 20 ounces. So depending on your body weight, I mean, most people could easily drink a gallon of water a day, depending on their body weight. Now, who actually is doing that? You know what I mean? Like, nobody.
No one. I catch myself not doing it a lot.
Oh, so I won't pretend like it's easy to do. It is hard to do, because it's like, that would require you and I in this conversation finishing all 32 ounces of this water. And how are we going to do that when we're chit-chatting? You know what I mean? That's going to be really complicated. But I'm going to chug it when I'm done.
Yeah, yep.
To make sure, you know what I mean? So, yeah, that's a really important one. Making sure that you're drinking enough fluids and keeping that system moving properly. What else? So we said fitness. Oh, diet. So anything you're putting in your mouth, I mean, the cleaner the better, because your lymphatic system is going to have to work that stuff out for you. So if you're putting in a bunch of things that are, you know, genetically modified, or
preservatives,
tons of preservatives, or pesticides and herbicides, like your body's going to have to figure out how to get these toxins and these chemicals out that you're putting in. your body sees them as foreign. So it tries to either isolate it or like store it somewhere, and it will do that within your lymphatic system and then compromise your immune system.
Yep.
So I think purifying how you eat in a more honorable way is super important. Things you can do, rebounding. Have you heard of rebounding? Like
yes.
the little trampolines. That's great. It's a good way to lose weight too. Just regular walking and movement. Dry skin brushing. I don't know if you have a dry skin brush, but that's something you can easily do at home. I love regular massage, but the lymphatic massage that I'm really into is the electrolymphatic that we have at our office. We actually have a number of lymphatic massage therapists that have turned electrolymphatic massage therapists because it's about 50 times more effective than just a regular standard manual lymphatic massage, because it uses an electrical current that can penetrate into the body about 2.5 inches. So it can get past bone, it can get past tissue, it can get past ligaments and help basically liquefy and purge kind of that coagulated material that's in the nodes. So that's the one that I dig. If you can find that in your area, that would be the first choice. Obviously, if you're in San Diego, come to Living Water Wellness.
Yeah,
but if you're not, find it. It's called electrolymphatic drainage, and find a place kind of near you. And then if you can't find that because it is pretty new on the market,
fly to San Diego.
Yeah, fly to San Diego. Visit me. No, we've been doing it for 20 years, but we were one of the first people who ever had it. We're like one of 3 people who had it on the West Coast.
Wow.
So it is fairly new and getting, it's newer technology. So doctors and plastic surgeons and people who actually promote lymphatic drainage are just getting familiar with it. But if you can't find that in your area, then just look for a lymphatic massage therapist, because anything's going to be better than nothing.
Yes, totally. It's crazy how the holistic world is, and not to, throw stones at the Western medicine, allopathic medicine, but in 2014, they started putting in textbooks that we had a lymphatic system in our brain. And I've known of herbalists talking about the lymphatic system in your brain since like this dude talking about it in 93. And it was like, people were like, no, what is it, quackery, all that stuff. And then they just figured that out very recent, 2014.
I know.
That is so nuts.
That's the other thing too about allopathic medicine, is it's like science is changing. Some of our doctors like finished their education 60 some years ago, and they're still practicing medicine, and they've never gone back for like any updated information, science or education. And science is changing so quickly. So like my favorite thing is to find a allopathic doctor that's also gone back and like has learned about alternative medicine or Ayurvedic medicine or whatever. Like
fasting.
Some of the best doctors in San Diego that I work with have their original education in Western medicine and then have gone back and gotten an education, because that makes you so well-rounded. And that should be celebrated, right? Like doing extended education.
Yes. Like, I mean, it should be mandatory.
It should be.
If you're practicing on people and you didn't even know that there was a lymphatic system in your brain, or like you're turning people away because you didn't recommend diet, that is a sin.
It's crazy. And I have clients that come in for recovery from the C word often, and they literally have been told by their doctors that they don't need to change their diet. Even though there's ample research that shows that when you do change your diet and you do raise your pH, you have more of a chance of recovering. So it's out there. The information is there, right?
It's ignorance. I mean, I've heard of some girl, she was losing weight because of chemotherapy, and the doctor told her, like, if anything, you should be eating a lot more pizza and junk food because you need to put on weight. Like, that is what kills people.
That's what feeds disease. And I mean, junk feeds disease. That doesn't take a scientist to know.
Yeah.
Shit produces shit, you know what I mean? So it's like, I'm sorry, do we kiss on this?
Yeah, go for
okay,
it.
I'm like now cuss 3 times. And
yeah, no, you're good.
I forgot to ask you if I'm allowed to use foul language.
Yeah, no, you're good.
But I heard that so much more than you would even realize. And it is literally the easiest adjustment that you can make.
And free.
And completely free. I mean, and sometimes cheaper. But it comes back to two things. One, we're releasing our accountability to somebody else to tell us what to do, right? So if you're getting a diagnosis that you don't like, take all of the information that you can to support you making a decision for yourself that's going to bring you to optimal health.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, a lot of people would hear, oh, you don't have to change your diet. They'd be like, great. Thank you for the permission to slip to keep eating like crap. And it's like, hey, if you're looking for a permission slip to not live your best life, then you're on the right track. Now, if you're looking for actual advice on how to improve your situation, that's going to require effort. That's going to require change. You know, whatever got you into the position you're in, change is going to have to get you out of it. You can't do the same thing over and over and expect a different result, right? We all know that phrase.
Yes.
But when people hear that they can keep doing the same thing and that something will change, they don't seem to like rationally think that through and be like, oh yeah, that doesn't work. I've heard that since I was a kid. That's not how it works. But they're quick to be like, okay, my doctor told me.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay, well, then you do you, boo.
There's nothing we can do here. So when it comes to the stuff that you offer at the center, what is everything you guys offer? Lymphatic drainage.
So many things. Okay, lymphatic drainage.
And that is like the massages?
The electrolymphatic drainage.
Okay.
We also do specialty versions of that. So we do it for post-op. So that's a huge thing right now. Like if you've ever had surgery of any kind, this is a great treatment to do after surgery because it your healing time. It like cuts in half. So it really speeds up your healing time. We used to work with like the sideline doctor down here for a couple sports teams, and they would have all their off-season surgeries come in for this treatment in particular because you'll heal faster, or they were healing faster, and they were healing like in better condition. So really great for post-surgery as well. That's called post-op lymphatic drainage. It's great for elective surgery too, just plastic surgery and stuff. We do it for the face as well, so it's really great for anti-aging. So there's different specialty stuff you can do with it because your lymphatic system also regulates like cellulite and fatty deposits in the body and signs of aging, fine lines, wrinkles, and inflammation.
I'm approaching 30 here, so I'm like noticing on my forehead wrinkles.
Well, you know, I read in this book on quantum physics that if you live in the mountains, you actually age faster.
Oh.
Yeah, the higher the elevation, the further away from sea level, the faster you age. So we're just going to have to embrace it.
I guess so. And drink more green juice.
And drink more green juice. It's just a subtle difference, but yeah, maybe we can counteract it with some green juice.
Yeah. And so,
okay, yes, so the other treatment. So, the lymphatic drainage and for all the specialty stuff, the colon hydrotherapy treatment, which is huge, infrared, massage therapy, Reiki, spiritual coaching and counseling, wellness consultations, and group programs for anything from diet to illness and disease prevention.
Oh, dang. And you specialize, and that's the wellness center, or you do that as well?
That's what the wellness center does. So
yes.
I now specialize so I've pivoted a bit. So I still run and own and market, and I'm co-founder, so I stay with the business and always will stay with the business. But I no longer see clients professionally anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Now I do all coaching. So I have pivoted now into more of the spiritual coaching. So I do a lot of intuitive readings. I'm a spiritual coach myself, so I have my own coaching clients that I see through their process. A lot of them are business owners and entrepreneurs. So now my main job, I guess you would say, is coaching entrepreneurs through their own healing, whether it be physically, spiritually, energetically, so that they can really just show up and be a better embodiment of their practice or of their business.
Yeah.
Because so many people are hustling till burnout, and they really have something to serve. Like, I believe that entrepreneurs are the healers of the world, because they're learning how to heal themselves. And so that's kind of now how what I'm doing now more professionally with my actual like time is I see clients virtually for that. So I do business coaching from a spiritual perspective.
Very cool. And then, so for people that think that spiritual is way too woo-woo of a word, what do you mean by spiritual coaching?
So what I work with is I work with connecting people to their higher selves, to their divine source, whatever they want to consider that to be, and their physical body through healing whatever's going on in their body, whether that be mental and emotional blockages that they need to overcome, whether that be physical health that needs to change, adjustments that need to be made to their diet and or lifestyle to get their physical body in alignment. We can create autonomy if we are physically, mentally, emotionally sound. Then there's this element of energetics, which is kind of the subtle energies of the body, which has been practiced in Eastern philosophies since the dawn of time. And it is the baseline of most allopathic medicine that we know now. This is the original kind of teachings. So I also help people get that in alignment so that they can be more connected to what I call source, whatever that is. That's like your divine power, yes. Right? Because that's when you're going to be channeling your true life's purpose, your mission. That's when you're going to feel fulfilled. That's when you're going to be experiencing joy. So many people are seeking outside of themselves how to find happiness or peace or joy. When it's already there within them, there's just all this other shit going on that they can't seem to unpack to get to that. So because I started in the physical, I became very familiar with root energy, right? And root energy is our first chakra, an energy center that helps us to stay grounded. It helps us to feel safe. It helps us when we're feeling insecure. It's what regulates our finances, and it's the root of like our physical health problems, right? So I kind of learned that while working through this organ with people and healing the digestive organs. And then slowly realized, hey, this is part of an evolution. You can start by just doing the baseline, but you can grow from there. And so if you follow the chakra pillar of energy without getting too,
in there,
without losing everybody down the rabbit hole, you can follow that chakra pillar up. And it also is connected to different organs in the bodies, different health conditions in the bodies, different emotional states in the bodies, different trauma in the bodies. So if you can address each one, especially with a professional that can actually see where you're I don't like to use the word blocked, but stagnant is a better word because nothing's actually blocked. But, that can see where you're stagnant, also has the intuitive ability to know maybe where some of this is coming from a generational standpoint. We can help guide you through the process of full healing. And once you're there, you're autonomous. You're autonomous at that point. You've released yourself from any connections to ancestral trauma. You've released yourself from any stuff that's outside of you that's more physically based. You've released yourself from stigmas and belief systems that you had to subscribe to that weren't your own. And once you can release yourself from those things, that's when you connect immediately to like your soul's mission, your soul's purpose, your higher self, and then spirit, right? Because that's where it resides.
Yes. Love it. Yeah. And this is the work you do. So right now you're just one-on-one coaching.
Yeah, one-on-one coaching and group coaching programs.
Group coaching.
So I have group coaching programs to help people walk through all the elements of this because obviously with my one-on-one clients, it's an extended period of time. We're working together for 6 months at a time to do this because it's a journey, it's a process. We're talking about 20, 30, 60 is, one of my clients is 60, 20, 30, 60 years of developing these behaviors. So it's a very comprehensive, completely healing program. So my mission is to, give it to people who've already gotten to the burnout point where they've already created, like me, they already created their hustle, they already created their empire, and now they're realizing I need to work on me now. For me to move on to the next expression of self, I need to be serving from a completely full and autonomous cup because once you've created one thing, you're not done. There's another thing there to be had, and it's going to be bigger, greater, and bolder than what happened before. So if I can help them to unlock their own healing and their own genius, then they can serve again from a place of complete wholeness instead of a place of maybe triggers or fears or pain that they did the first time around.
Yes, and projecting that onto whatever is going on. Whoa. And that is, you're pretty much just refining down their capabilities and just like, yeah, kind of where you're at now. I mean, you were doing a million things and now you're just doing one.
One thing, yeah.
Yes.
Or no things.
Or no things. Yeah, there you go.
I'm also really cool with doing no things.
Yeah.
Like, I'm at this point where I have learned in my own journey, like, the hustle is real. You know what I mean? Like, I felt the need to create, not because I was creative. Now, I am creative.
Yeah.
But I felt the need to create, not because I was creative. I felt the need to create because I needed to create security. Because I didn't feel safe with other people being in charge of me. Because the people that were in charge of me in my early childhood, they did the best they could, but I didn't see it as the best job or didn't make me feel safe. It didn't register as safe. So when I started creating, I created from that space. Now, I still created something absolutely beautiful. There's no right or wrong in the world. Everything you're doing it at exactly the right time, exactly as it's supposed to be. Even the shadow parts of ourselves create something that is really remarkable and needed.
Yes.
But my goal is to take the people who've already done that and help them create more. And this time create from a space of wholeness. Or this time create from a space of gift and excellence instead of kind of the shadow or some of the fears that they were once creating from, right?
Yes. Oh, well, love it. So, and I see you specialize a lot with women entrepreneurs. You also cater to men as well?
I love men entrepreneurs. I naturally attract male entrepreneurs. I do. So no, I think right now I'm catering to women because that's my largest network. But yeah I think I'm a really big fan, like from a business coaching standpoint, of like trying to maintain a more narrow niche to begin with as you're growing. And so since I'm just growing this, I've been doing this energetically for years, but since I'm just committing to this now, I have niched down to women. But yeah, I take all clients.
Cool. So guys, girls, come on now. Reach out to Ciara. What is it? I am
Ciara Mumford. And it's CIARA MUMFORD.
On Instagram. Very cool. That is amazing. And then you're still going to keep the wellness center. And how many locations do you have?
Yeah, the wellness center will be around for forever. We've got 3 here in San Diego.
So cool.
I think that's probably where we're going to max out for now until we decide to potentially franchise. Because we're not as physically involved as we were when it first started. It's a little less desirable to expand, I think we would say. So so those are all here in Southern California, and we also are in process right now of developing our own at-home cleansing protocol that includes supplements. So we are reformulating supplements that my grandmother has been using for digestive cleansing for 50 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we're just kind of up-leveling those right now, and eventually, probably within the next year, those will be available online. So for people who are out of state or out of country, they can purchase a supplement program that they know has been effective for digestive cleansing, because we've used it for over 30,000 people. Yeah. But we will change the formulation so it's a little more gentle, because originally it was used solely in conjunction with colonics. Well, you might not have a colon therapist near you. So in that case, you might need to do an enema, or maybe you won't want to do anything at all. So we are having to change some formulations to accommodate that population of people. But yeah, we do have a supplement program that we use in our office currently.
And can people reach out anywhere in the world that can get your service, for the consultations?
Yes. So for people who are looking for specifically colonics, they're not based here in California or Southern California, there's a really reliable website. It's the School for International Training, and it's called IACT. And the website is i-act.org. And they have trained most, if not all, of the colon therapists that are certified internationally. And I can tell you they are pumping out amazing, amazing therapists because we actually have the #1 school internationally with them. So I've gotten to hand select our therapists from that school. And there are therapists that come from all over the world to go to school and get that education and that certification. So I would check out that site to find somebody who is actually trained and certified near you. But if you don't have access to that, you can do enemas at home. I mean, an enema only really gets the first 1.5 feet of the colon, but if you have access to that, do it. That's completely free. You can do it. It's completely like natural, safe. I mean, some people are like, oh, it could be messy. It's not normally messy.
Yeah.
You just think it might be.
Yes, totally, totally. And I mean, for someone that hasn't even gone there mentally, like, okay, wait, what? Do what? You know? Exactly. So it can be a little weird, but wow, okay. Well, and so like if someone like has something that they're dealing with health-wise,
oh yeah, they can call me.
Call you and
yep, we
reach
can.
out?
I have there's an ability to book what's called like a Discover Me call. And basically, I send you a survey that you can fill out so I can determine whether or not you're a good candidate to work with me. If you qualify for any sliding scale, because I also do that. I want to be really inclusive and help communities that may not normally have access to coaches because of the cost and expense of it, and also helps me determine like what's the best way that I can serve you. So yeah, I can. That's on the Living Water Wellness website. And you can always schedule that, and I'll get back to you and let you know how I could see us working together, and you can go from there.
Sweet. livingwaterwellness.com?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. That's usually what I say.
Yeah.
I was like, yes, ma'am. In my country accent.
Yeah. Nice. Wow. That is, I mean, and this is a lot of hope. So if you ever got any health issues, any diseases, you're not worried?
No, and I actually have had my own health issues, concerns, and illnesses. So I was diagnosed with cervical cancer in my early 20s, and they were very, very aggressive about trying to get me to, do surgery. And I just said, I'll talk to you guys in 3 months. I was harassed about getting the surgery over that 3 months, and that's when I went raw. So when I went completely raw food, the first couple of months was all alkaline. And then after the 3 months, obviously I went back, mysteriously disappeared. They told me that all of the tests I had must have been, false positives. Is that what they're called? It's been a couple of years now, almost 15 years now, so forgive me. But yeah, and I was like, no.
Wait.
I cleansed it out of my body. I healed those cells. I mean, this is the interesting thing, is that your cells duplicate every 90 days, right? So not regenerate, duplicate. So if you've got toxicity within that cell and you're not doing anything about it, you're going to duplicate another toxic cell. For instance, with breast cancer, this takes almost 7 years before modern medicine can identify it, this duplication process. So you've had cancer in your body for 7 years before it's duplicated to a place where they can find it in a mammogram. That's why I don't recommend mammograms. I don't recommend anything, actually, because I don't prescribe medicine and I'm not a doctor.
Nope.
But that's why I talk to people about thermography. Because thermography is a scan, and it can tell you if there's something going on in the body almost 7 years prior than other technologies can do. So you can do what? Prevent. You can go towards the level of prevention. Mm-hmm. So that was my first experience.
So you had, let's just get real, because you were like, oh yeah, I had cervical cancer. You literally had cervical cancer.
I had been diagnosed previously with HPV, and then later diagnosed with cervical cancer.
Wow. And then
it disappeared.
Okay.
And not HPV disappeared. The cervical cancer disappeared. Because HPV always disappears when your immune system is strong. Two different diagnoses, I guess you would say.
But one leads to the other. Okay, whoa, that's intense.
Okay, so that was the first time. The second time was in my late 20s, I started to experience all the signs of what I thought was fibromyalgia. Very tired, inflamed joints, a lot of pain, chronic fatigue. And FYI, you guys, this is all because of me choosing hustle over healing. You can know everything you want about healing, but if you don't know how to take care of yourself energetically, the hustle will get you. So even I was not aware of this at the time, right? So I went to my doctor and I'm like, hey, I don't know what to do. You know, she's running all the tests and everything's kind of inconclusive. And I, knowing what I know about autoimmune disease, I'm like panicking. This is so textbook, you know, I'm self-diagnosing. The irony is this. Right around this time, I met through my doctor, and she's an allopathic doctor, a dentist who was just across the hall from her. And so me and this dentist are chit-chatting, and he's like, hey, I really want to do what you do, and you really need some dental work. At the time, I needed dental work. I hadn't had dental work in like literally 8 or 9 years. I'd had a bad experience with a dentist, so I was neglecting my dental work. And I was like, yeah, I really do. So we decided to do a trade. Flash forward to 5 years earlier, I was working with a thermographer, educating people on thermography for prevention. This is how dense I was being.
Yeah.
And she did a face scan for me. And she said, oh, honey, your jawline is very inflamed. Do you have anything going on periodontally? And I was like, yeah, I mean, I was supposed to get my wisdom teeth out a couple years ago, and I didn't want to do it because I had a bad experience with the dentist, blah, blah, blah. And she said, you really need to address your dental work because there's an underlying infection that is affecting your immune system. Flash forward 5 years, and I'm having symptoms of an autoimmune condition. Where did that come from? So God puts this dentist in my life. We do a trade. He gets all of this, starts to take care of everything in my mouth. And I'm seeing my doctor, and I'm getting a lot of IVs and getting my immune system under control. And we're finding this hidden infection in my body that's causing an autoimmune response. And within 3 months, I'm better. I'm back to normal.
Whoa.
It was the periodontal issues.
Yes, totally.
Everything she had said to me 5 years earlier was affecting me 5 years later.
Yeah.
And I just didn't.
You were,
I live by example.
Yes.
I live by example, so just
and you were
follow
hustling.
where I've been.
you were hustling and you were serving with what you knew, but you were still I respect the fact that you're still putting that stuff out there and all that.
Yeah.
But it has to come from inside, not just...
Yep.
Yes. That is crazy. So in cervical cancer, that could easily mean no baby.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And you got a baby.
Yeah. Well, that's my stepdaughter, but I'm not choosing to have children. But yes, it can cause fertility issues for sure. And we're also dealing with an epidemic of fertility issues now too. And don't even get me started on what that's from.
Oh my God, yeah. What's your theory, real quick?
Okay, well, definitely birth control.
Oh, okay.
Birth control is the devil. And I like a jokester, so these are the kind of phrases that I like.
Yes.
It's the devil.
Yeah.
So birth control's the devil.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
It's causing fertility issues. Like, let's just get real. That's so obvious.
Yeah.
Our normal diet and everything, and hormonal imbalances. Hormonal imbalances, which is the root cause of disease, is the first causing infertility as well. And then, the V word.
V word.
We probably shouldn't say it.
V word.
It rhymes with assassinations.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Assassinations.
Okay. Oh, whoa.
I might have just come up with a thing.
Whoa, that is interesting.
This is the world of assassination.
Yes. Whoa. Okay. Yeah. Oh.
I mean, we could always go there, but I think maybe we can do it on a later one.
Yeah, we could definitely do it.
Only one of them will get blocked.
Yeah. Dang. Okay. Well, yeah. There's a lot there. So there is a world. You're not going to be out of a job anytime soon, pretty much. No.
I don't think. I have a lot of job security.
Yes. We're in a world where you have a lot of solutions for a lot of things. Real solutions.
Yes.
That's what I love about holistic stuff. It's very empowering. It's very most of the stuff you can just do yourself. Mm-hmm. And so I love it. And do you see, and what's a vision for yourself for the future?
Oh my gosh, you know what? I have been doing a really good job for the last year of not worrying about the future.
Yes. Okay.
I mean, if 2020 taught us anything, it's that what we think we know, we have no idea. And I really just want to stay open. I spent the first 25 years of my life, probably from about 5 to 30, just grinding, just pushing, just manifesting, just coming from that space. And the message that I've gotten over the last year is that everything can happen with ease and grace. Nothing requires force. Everything, when you're feeling like you need to be in force mode, where you really need to be is in just breath mode. Like breathe and pause. That's when the light gets in. That's when spirit speaks to you. I have in one of my trainings, I mean, I don't know if we have time, but I'll go there. I talk a lot about thy will versus, your will. So we have a lot of willpower to push our agenda, and futuring and coming up with ideas for where we want to be in vision can be really limiting in the way that we are trying to force our will instead of just being part of like divine will and like channeling our actual soul purpose. So I have been living my soul purpose up to this point for sure because of the way that I've been able to serve people in their lives and prevention and healing. Excuse me. This next phase of my life is really just going to be about channeling whatever it is Source wants me to do in that moment. And just fully trusting and surrendering to the fact that whatever is meant to be for me will be for me, whatever's not meant to be for me won't, that I'll be fully provided for, and that if I continue to show up like that I can be fully in service. And so there isn't a ton of intentions. I do plan on trying to attempt to open a retreat center. That was our goal in the beginning or the end of 2019, and obviously we put that on hold, but it's still on my heart, so I know it's still in the plans. We'll probably start to break ground on that, fingers crossed, sometime in the beginning of this year. So I will try to create a space so that I can be one-on-one with people face-to-face and facilitate that healing, whether it be energetically, spiritually, through my intuitive gifts, or offering available treatments to people as like an intensive. So that is definitely on the agenda. Lots of travel, lots of fun, lots of sitting around in my PJs, and living my best life.
Yes.
You and I live both here in the mountains. I don't know if your viewers know where you live or not.
Julian, California.
Okay.
Yes. Yep.
I didn't want to like put you on blast.
No,
didn't.
good.
But we moved here. We bought our home here because I was called to move out of the city in 2019. And I manifested a reason to move out of the city, and we moved out of the city, and we bought a home here in November of 2019. We moved into that home in February of 2020. We went on vacation for 2 weeks, and then we came home to a closure.
Dang.
So we literally moved into our home like 3 days. We lived in our home 3 days before the entire world closed down.
Damn.
So I'm just continuing to live by those divine downloads, and whatever is meant to be will be. But I do know one of the callings to come here was to be more connected to Mama Earth, to start growing my own food, being in the outdoors, having a place to breathe fresh air, being able to be more ceremonial on what it was I chose to put in my body. There's not a grocery store right next to my house where I can buy junk. There's no fast food restaurants. I have no excuses to not be honorable. Everything I can do here, I can do and choose to be impeccable about. And we lose track of that, I think, when we're like in the city and in like a crazy hustle and bustle environment. So that was my motivation for being here. And now there's been so much downloads the last year for everybody. The collective is raising its frequency at like such incredible speeds that now that we're integrating all of that information, I think I finally just get to enjoy it a little bit.
Yes.
Enjoy being here, enjoy the fresh air, enjoy not being constantly bombarded with like EMFs and 5G towers and
unnatural lighting, the street lighting. We get, like here, well, I was telling you, I used to sleep in the back porch, and I would wake up, and the sky was as clear as day.
Oh my God,
it was crazy. And there's barely any street lights here. What a great place to have quarantine.
Yeah, no joke. Yeah, I mean, to have 6 acres to, like, run around and have my daughter run around like crazy and be outside and not be worried. And, you know, when I said I manifested a reason to move out to the country, I got sick again, actually, after 2018, again from the same thing, hustle and bustle and not taking care of myself. Mm-hmm. This is a constant lesson.
Pattern.
Constant lesson that I'm here to not only experience but teach. And, you know, I had to acknowledge how toxic this city was and identify too, like, environmental toxins. It's not just toxicity of what you put in your mouth or what you put in your mind or what you put in your spirit. It's also environmental toxins that you unfortunately can't control. Mm-hmm. You know, EMFs, 5G, mold, exhaust. I mean, this stuff exists and it's around you constantly. And how is it affecting your health? And how is it compromising your immune system, your liver? And so it was already energetically important for me to move. But then instead of following that gut instinct when I had it back in 2018 when I brought it to my husband, he's like, oh, there's no way that's happening. Instead, I just figured out a way to manifest it as like a need, right?
Yep.
Which is exact. And it worked, by the way. I just don't do it the hard way. Do it the easy way. So now I'm all about doing it the easy way. If I feel the nudge, then I'm going to let it happen easy. So for instance, I'll give you guys an actual legitimate example. When we bought our property, we wanted to break ground. And we could have probably done it and like dumped our savings into it, or we could have taken out a loan and done it in that regard. We would have been sitting on that project for a year and a half with no financial reimbursement at all.
Yep. During
a time when the whole world shut down. Mm-hmm. And no one was working. And there was no other money coming in. Right? I could have forced it. I could have. Yeah. Old me might have.
Yeah.
This version of me didn't. This version of me was ready to just surrender and do things with ease. If it's not, it's okay if it's not meant to be. Even if it's part of my vision, if it's not happening right now, I don't need to force it. So I didn't feel pain the last year and a half that we haven't been able to make it happen. Mm-hmm. I know if it will happen when it's meant to happen, and it will happen in divine timing. I mean, I can't even imagine if I had put myself through the torture of forcing it, where I would be right now. I mean, it would eventually come to fruition. In other words, you can do it the hard way.
You can, for sure.
You can do it the way where you push until you get what you want. Or you can do it in the way where you have ease and it happens in divine timing and you're not attached to the ups and downs of the outcome and you just let it be. And I'm choosing to just fucking let it be.
Yes. So that's where the no visions for the future, because that's you. But you're going by what feels like what's chiming internally.
Chiming internally.
But that doesn't require a long-term vision.
Yep, doesn't. I mean, I know the long-term vision as an intuitive. Like, I know that this part of my life, it really consists of being of service to people, not being concerned where money's going to come from when I do that, traveling and enjoying my family.
Yes.
Deepening relationships with people that I love and care about, and doing projects that I'm passionate about that serve people that I can do just from that space instead of a space of this is going to make me feel safe or secure once I have this or once I have the money from this. That old me has died and created space for the new me that just allows me to come from a place of service and gratitude and just continuing to show up. And I've had my best year ever living like that.
Totally. But it did require you learning all those lessons to get to this point, for sure.
Absolutely. And everyone will have the lessons that they go through, for sure. But I think at the at the end of the line, this is the lesson.
Totally.
Like if you're in sovereign and if you're autonomous and you're connected to spirit or source, you can do it with ease and grace and trust.
Totally.
And everything else is just an illusion.
Love it. Ciara Mumford, everyone. Ciara. Oh, Lord. I love it. Okay, sweet. livingwaterwellness.com.
And now everyone in Julian's not going to want to be my friend. They're going to be like, that girl's a psycho.
That's all right. That's all right. That's amazing. So, yeah, and real quick before we're coming to a close here, but people, I feel like there's a lot of coaches that are like,
yes.
It's a very oversaturated market, and most people are just like, you can be anyone and be a really good coach. It doesn't matter.
Everyone's a coach at their core.
Yes, but you literally have decades of experience and failures in recovering to be qualified to do what you're doing.
Yes, I didn't take a 2-week course on how to teach people about lifestyle and coach them. And I don't technically consider myself a coach. I consider myself a mentor or a guide.
Yes.
Everything I do comes from my own spiritual intuition, which is not something that you can just learn in some kind of certification course. And it comes with 17 years of experience and generations of genetic knowledge. I mean, let's just be honest.
Yeah, and healing.
And healing, yeah, for sure. So, yeah, I don't technically consider myself a coach. I consider myself more of a mentor. Or a guide. Okay. But, whatever word works for you.
Yeah. What do you officially call yourself?
Spiritual mentor.
Spiritual mentor, okay. Right
now I'm calling myself a hustle healer.
Hustle healer. Yep. Girl, you're awesome. I am, I love this conversation. I'm sure it'll be very helpful for people that listened in. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Oh my God.
I had so much fun.
I know. And what a great time to spend during quarantine. Like up here and I'm so glad I met you and you're doing awesome things. Oh, for people that are interested in Clubhouse.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Or that's what it's called, right?
Clubhouse is where I'm spending all my time right now. I'm ashamed to admit that sometimes it could be up to 8 hours a day, just literally giving free information on Clubhouse.
Yes.
But I'm loving it. It's amazing. It's still kind of in beta, so it's hard to get in to Clubhouse. It's like this very elitist thing that's going on right now.
Yep. I'm in it now.
I let him in.
Yeah.
But if you can get into it or you can sign up for it, you should, because I do think that it's a different way of networking. It's a different type of social network that really allows people to communicate like this. And you can connect with each other on a much deeper level than like just here's a photo of my perfect life, or you know what I'm saying, like
Instagram,
curated YouTube video, or all the politics and the drama on Facebook. It's like an escape from that. It's people are learning how to have conversations with people and learn, be educated, absorb information like from other people.
Yes.
Something we haven't done in a long time.
Okay, yeah, so and once that gets up and going, if you're interested in Clubhouse, see her on there. Instagram for sure. She's always putting up her stories. I love them. And yeah.
Yeah, so Instagram's I am Ciara Mumford. Clubhouse is at Ciara Mumford. Facebook is at Ciara Mumford. You can usually find me in all the places.
Yes. Okay, sweet. So thank you again. This was awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be asking a little bit more on that coaching stuff, the mentoring stuff. But
and we'll get you in for a colonic.
Yeah. What the? No, just kidding. Okay. Well, thank you guys for joining us, and I'll see you next episode.